Hello viewers, we have a new update on Gran Turismo 7, update 1.55 for January has just dropped. Let's take a look and see if it's a good update or a bad one. Let's kick it off with the cars, and the first one is this, the F3500A. It's based on the early 90s Formula 1 cars, and it costs 1 million credits. It's quite a nice addition, this one, and you can see you can get it in quite a range of nice colours. It's a beautiful looking car, not as easy to drive. And in terms of driving it, you can see that it is this week's new time trial around Monza. Now, I tried this earlier. It's actually quite a difficult car to drive, to tame. It's got 984 performance points, so it's really high up. And when you hit the curbs, it's very unstable. Also on the power, you have to be super careful and often drive a gear higher than you think. But I think it's a cool addition. We saw it originally in December at the World Finals, so we knew it was coming. But finally, it has launched into the game. Now, we also hosted some open lobby races with some of my subscribers, and that was mega fun. This car was actually quite fun to drive. As you can see, the field spread was rather large, showing that the car was really hard to drive. For next week, I'd probably expect it to be a daily race, but that's not for certain. Next up, we have the Toyota CHRS, which no one asked for. Interestingly, this car has done the Nürburgring 24 hours, weirdly enough. We also then have the Hyundai Ioniq 5. This was also used in the World Finals in December. And last but not least, in the used cars, we have the Honda Civic Extra from 1987. So 4 cars there. I think one of them will generate quite a lot of excitement, the Formula car. The other 3, maybe not so much. But Kaz, if you're watching, please, a Koenigsegg or a hypercar or a GT3 car, something, please. Okay, so onto the tracks that have been added in this update. There wasn't one. On the note of tracks, we do have some new tracks for Sophy. So Interlagos and Mount Panorama are now available. Now, we did a race against Sophy at Mount Panorama. It was quite a fun race. This is going to be something that's going to be slowly rolled out over time. Hard tyres still, so no tyre wear, no fuel use. I don't think we can expect Sophy to be rolled out that quickly, but it's good to see it being added to. But it's, as ever before, just a couple new tracks. Now, something I wasn't really expecting too much in this update, but has happened, is a physics update. So if you scroll to the bottom of this set of notes, we have this section here, physics simulation model. Now, I'll break it down into its main points. So the first thing here is that they've reduced sudden changes in behavior when traveling over curbs or bumps or uneven surfaces. So that's for suspension. Then we have some changes to tires. The dependency on load while cornering has been adjusted, whatever that means. We don't know which way it's been adjusted. Then the second one, the grip loss on racing lines on wet surfaces has been reduced. So before, if you drove on the traditional racing line, the dry line in the wet, you would have a really low amount of grip. So you kind of have to drive around that. But now the dry line will technically have a bit more grip than it used to. And then this one here, I think it's quite a positive change. It's basically when you go off the track and you get dirty tyres, you obviously have less grip. However, after this change, the amount of grip you lose isn't going to be as much. So it won't be as bad when you come back onto the track. Also, the speed at which the grip is restored is increased. So your grip will come back to you faster than it used to. So there's just a couple of changes there. It doesn't seem to make a huge difference from my experience of playing so far. But it should be noted that the leaderboards have been completely wiped because of this change. Whenever they change the physics, they always reset the leaderboards. So circuit experience licenses and missions, the leaderboards for all of those have been wiped. Now, I know many of you guys play on controller. I mean, that's a massive part of the player base on Gran Turismo 7. Playing on a controller, there have been improvements to it. So again, in this section covering the physics, it talks about here, the wireless controller steering algorithm has been updated. On analog sticks or directional pads, it says it has been improved, resulting in better handling. Well, I have my controller here. Let's give it a go. I mean, from that initial impression there, I know I only got a silver, but it does feel pretty smooth. So from that little go there, it does feel a bit smoother. It's not easy to say because I don't use controller all that much, but please do let me know in the comments. Like, many of you guys do play controller. Please do leave a comment saying how you feel the game has changed because of this update. It's not only the controller though that's been improved, the wheel as well. As you can see, steering wheels have been adjusted, resulting in better force feedback feeling. So again, I've been playing this for a couple of hours this morning and it felt pretty smooth already, to be honest. I didn't notice a huge difference, I must say. Now, something that's probably made a bigger difference than the physics change is the BOP change. So of course, all group 1, 2, 3 and 4 cars are balanced by their weight and their power. So you can make a car slower or faster by making it heavier or lighter, or more power or less power. And so if we take a look at this table, it highlights the changes. This is to group 4. And I bring up group 4 because Daily Race C this week has been dominated by the Huracan around Deep Forest. And as you can see here, it has 4 less PS, so the power rating, and then 20 extra kilograms. So that car is going to be completely killed. And I think it's better demonstrated on this chart here. So the better cars are towards the top and the left. So the Huracan's down here because it's heavier and it's got less power. So by looking at this, you can see that no other car has been made heavier. Only the Huracan, and not even by a small amount, by 20 kilograms. I tested this out on this week's Daily Race C just to see what the changes were, how it felt. And immediately I could see that this car was lacking on the straights. It was quite obvious immediately that the performance was worse. Now I think overall this is a good thing because the Huracan has been dominant in that class for a long time. I was still able to have a good race with it, but it was quite tricky. But it looks like now, at least hopefully, with a bit more testing, there is a better balance in Group 4 at least. We have a couple of new events and a new menu book as ever. So if you take a look at this table, we now have 43 extra menus rather than 42. And there are now 224 event races rather than 221. So the new extra menu is for Group C cars, requiring you to get these 3 here. And these are all available in the Legends Card dealership. And for getting that, you'll get a 6-star roulette ticket, which will probably give you about 10,000 coins, but it's something, isn't it? So something in sport mode has been changed. That is the maximum cap on driver rating. So if you take a look up here, we have my driver rating is A+, so it's above 50,000. The former top level used to be 100,000, and now I believe it's 150,000. If we take a profile like Kylian Drumont, now this guy has been a world champion on Gran Turismo, and his driver rating now sits in pretty much the middle of the bar. I'm presuming his driver rating would have been 100,000. So if it's in the middle, then the maximum would be 200,000. This remains to be like completely verified, but it looks like 200k to me, which means there's a lot of grinding to be done to get higher ratings because I've always only sat about 60k. And to cover off the final couple of things, there are new engine swaps available for a couple of cars, as you can see here. There is a new scape available for you photography fans out there. Some of these events have been adjusted in terms of difficulty. And there may be a small change here because of, again, the physics change. The target times for circuit experience and for the licenses have been altered. So gold, silver, bronze are slightly different. And of course, as I said, the ranking leaderboards have all been wiped. The 4 new cars, 3 of them for me, it's good to see new cars, but the F3500A, I think that's a really good addition. I think I'll enjoy driving it. I already have done. No new track. Yeah, it's been a long time. The last one was Eiger Nordwand back in, I think it was August or July. And then before that was Lake Louise in November 2023. So tracks have been really few and far between. And, you know, that's something I think we're screaming out for. Just bring us back a track somewhere. But my main thoughts on this update is that there's more than meets the eye. It appears like just a standard update with some cars. But with the physics changes and the BOP changes, you know, it's going to change the way that we race a little bit, the way that you have to drive. But we've come to a point, I think, quite clearly, to me at least, where this game is approaching 3 years old. I don't know how much more content we're really going to get. You know, sure, we're going to get some monthly updates with a couple of cars here and there. But I actually don't really expect to see many tracks or you know, many big updates. Let's say a load of new GT3 cars, GT4 cars, something like that, or a load of hypercars. I mean, one can wish, but I don't really truly expect to see that. The star of the show is clearly the Formula car. I really enjoyed that. I think the BOP changes are quite nice, and hopefully Group 4 will be a bit more balanced now at least. But again, please do let me know your thoughts. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.